A PS Vita girl. I
She has a name.
No, that's PS
Her
Vita
her
girl.
name is Whitney. The game
No.
doesn't even credit her as that because in the credits she's just credited as like portable gamer girl.
I
Uh,
don't understand what I forgot about her until you asked. That's why I was so lost. I was like, "Who
yeah.
is PS Vita?" Like, girl. Like, I thought you were talking about some streamer or something.
No, like
I was like, "Who are you talking about?"
she is just there for body count. Hello and welcome back everyone to another episode of the Retro and Remastered podcast. Joined again as always is my co-host K Ray.
What up, everybody? What up? What up? What up?
So today we actually have a very special episode. Instead of a general topic like we have been, we're going to be talking about a very specific game, one that K-Ray started a few months ago, and then I decided, to finally pick up when it was on sale. And we both just kind of had a decent amount to say about it. I don't know K-Ray's opinion on it. He probably knows mine, but you know, what was that?
But I sure do.
Oh yeah. So the game we're going to be talking about is Last of Us Part 2, a game that's had a bunch of controversy with the developer, with its writer, with its story,
Hmm.
and just a lot in general for it. And to an extent, I kind of want to talk about it now. You might be sitting here going, it's been what, 3 or 4 months since this game came out. Why are you talking about it now? Main reason is that hopefully all of the general hatred of the game has finally died down. If you want to sit there and watch like a complete hate video or a complete praise video for it, there's tons of like bullshit videos you can watch on YouTube right now that'll just completely do that.
I agree.
W- We're just going to sit here, we're going to discuss it we're going to have a non-spoiler section where we just talk about graphics and gameplay, and then we'll move on to spoilers where we look at characters, story, what we liked about the story, how we would have fixed the story, and general predictions for what we have in the next one.
All right. Before we hop into that, though, what have you been up to? Like, what games are you playing currently?
Oh, actually, I just finished one the other day. It's just for the Halloween season. It's called Murder House, this fun little indie horror game.
I've heard about that game.
Oh, it's good, especially for like $10. If you are like a PlayStation 1 era horror fan, it's great. It has like a few puzzles that I never needed a guide to solve anything for it, but it's kind of like you have to put yourself in the PlayStation 1 brain space of you're going to run around and randomly click on things, and chances are you're going to find the solution to a puzzle that you don't even know existed.
Hmm.
But it's good. It's legitimately scary at times. The killer is, creepy. The story is screwed up. It's like this great little homage to like the very trashy VHS era slasher films that were coming out in the 80s and 90s that I essentially grew up on.
Same.
What about you?
Right now, of course, because of the episode, I just finished The Last of Us. Probably what last week, and then I platinumed it this week. So now I'm playing the Sinking City. So I'm trying to like knock that out the way before the PS5 come out. I think I can like finish that game up and actually like platinum it and delete it off my system before it comes out. I think I got what, like another week or so, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I think it
So
comes
I
out on the
can,
12th.
yeah, I can knock it out. And I'm trying to decide if I want to like get into another one before then, or should I just like stretch that one out and beat it like a day or two before? And then also I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima, the DLC, the free DLC. Let's throw that out there. Playing that at the moment, trying to build up my characters. And they just released a raid yesterday. I haven't got to play it, and they got the new Nightmare Week. That's what I'm on currently, and also keeping up with the last few episodes. I am back on my YouTube now that I am copyright strike free. The copyright gods then lifted their foot of oppression off my neck. So now I am free to, I guess, frolic, as you can say. Also, I've been editing and recording videos to upload for my main channel. And then, of course, as you know, I started a new channel. So I'm trying to build that one as well. So
Right.
that's
And
That's
And
what
I'll
I've
make
been
sure to put a link to the new channel in the description for this video, along with your other ones. Your Dark Souls video was actually really good.
up to. Yeah, surprisingly, I went to like do my comments because I like check all the comments. I'm one of those people that actually like respond to their subscribers
Right.
or their non-subscribers. I'm like, you hop in my comments, you take the time to watch the video and comment, then I'll like respond to you. But yeah, the thing's been moving. I think it's already at 1,000 views.
Oh, wow. You only put that one out, what was it, yesterday or the day before?
Yesterday. Yeah, yesterday, kind of like around 5-ish our time.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was gonna do like at least like 100, to be honest. Like I thought it was gonna hit the 100. That's all I care for. I try to like get the videos to at least hit 100. And yeah, I checked it this morning. And I was like, wait, 900 or something? I'm like, okay, show some support then. Yes, already at 1,078. That's crazy, especially because I didn't post like on that channel for the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I thought it was gonna get like decent love, but they showing me some love, so I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, it is kind of the new hotness that's coming out. I think it's the most expected game for the PS5, or the most excited or anticipated game for the PS5.
I agree.
All right. So, is there anything else you wanna talk about?
No, let's hop into this topic.
All right. So, first thing, non-spoiler stuff, just general graphics. And in my opinion, I thought the game looked great. Naughty Dog has kind of always had this, ability to set the bar when it comes to like console gaming, even back on like the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 generation of stuff. The stuff always looks good. Joel, Ellie, Jesse, like all these characters, they look amazing. The environments look amazing.
I
It honestly does make me wonder if this game will get like a upgrade for the PlayStation 5. I mean, it probably will. And I'm curious to see what, they could actually do with it.
I agree with statement as well. Naughty Dog has found their footing when it comes to pushing the console, especially like Last of Us, the original version came out on the PS3. They like pushed the PS3 to its max and it came out looking and feeling and playing amazing. So I expected them to keep up with the trend. And as you stated already, the graphics look gore. I think when I did a video on it, because I was covering it at first when I initially got the game and started playing it, and I think I did like 6 episodes on my channel. Like that was like one of the initial things I said, like this game looks good. Like I
Mm-hmm.
like the lighting, I like the scenery, like everything about it as far as graphically looked amazing. And people that know me know I'm big on like lighting and everything. So for me, I was like, all right, you keeping up and it looks good. And then especially like what I was playing on my TV, it makes it even look better. So graphic wise, amazing. And as you said, like character design, voice acting, all that was up to par. Like they are like to me, one of the biggest people or biggest companies in the gaming world where their voice acting and like character designs are like top notch.
Right.
Not like, and it's not a dig at Sucker Punch Studios. Like I remember when Ghost of Tsushima came out, and that game looks amazing as well.
Mm-hmm.
I heard certain people said that they initially changed it from Japanese audio to English audio because they lagged when they talked. Like
I'm not gonna lie, I was one of those people like, and I've played games. I played through the entire like Yakuza series and other ones with Japanese audio. It really bothered me for some reason that it was that all the characters are Japanese. It takes place in Japan, but you can tell that the audio was done for English to be the primary. I just couldn't deal with like the audio lapsing and the logging. It just matched up weird. I thought there was something honestly up with my like TV at first.
mm-hmm.
So I ended up switching it over to English. I was really hoping they would put out like a patch to maybe fix
I
that.
think they did because I didn't have that issue on mine.
Okay.
Me and a friend of mine, we talked about it because he switched and he was like, it was horrible. He just barely switched it back now for like the DLC, but
Okay.
it was like, yeah, I got off of it because like the audio lag, and I was like, I didn't have that. Luckily, because I mean, I would have pointed it out, and I think I did like one video, but I would have
Mm-hmm.
pointed it out the entire video. I'd have been like, yo, what's up with this? But for
Mm-hmm.
me, I didn't get that, so that port, I didn't like knock it off, like knock the ratings down off of that. Well, I kind of like segued into that because we were saying like Sucker Punch did a beautiful job and their game graphically looked amazing, but they got hit with flaws like audio lag versus Naughty Dog. Like I didn't
Mhm.
have no audio lag with that. Like the voice acting and the performance was amazing as far as what they captured.
Yeah, and to be completely honest, I'm a little surprised that they just didn't hold back. Same with Ghost. I was willing to bet money that Ghost of Tsushima would have been held back and they would have just forced it into being a PS5 game.
Mm-hmm.
Same with this. I think they probably could have gotten away with making it a launch title for the PS5. And like even as you said, the PS3 version looked great. Like minor little spoiler, but not really. You replay through a small chunk of the ending from Last of Us Part 1, and
Mm-hmm.
just the massive upscale in like what they did looks so much better. There's like a few weird continuity things, like the doctor is wearing, I think, green in the new one, but he's wearing
Yeah,
blue in the old
he's
game.
wearing blue. Yeah.
So, there's like a few continuity things. Even in the flashback sequence, to me, Joel looks way older than he did in the PS3 version of it, which I mean, he probably was always meant to look that old. Like, I know he was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be, I think he was supposed to be like either right at 50 or into his 50s in Last of Us.
Yeah, I think
So
this one
he,
captured the more stress on the body as well.
yeah, yeah, like I'm gonna say this, like, there are no really pretty looking people in Last of Us, and I think that does kind of help a little bit. Like people look like actual people. There isn't like
Yeah.
any Hollywood beauty, I would call it, in it.
Yes. I'm glad you said that because I thought about that, but I didn't really put it into words. Like you didn't see like I don't know. I feel like the characters fit the world
Right.
instead of having like apocalyptic world and then you got a guy with a fresh lineup like every week. Like how?
Right.
so so yeah, I agree. But carry on.
But no, that's it. Like I don't really have anything else that I can go into with the graphics that aren't kind of leaning in towards like another section of this video.
Okay. I'll say
So,
something then, like,
okay.
because I got into like a few debates like after I beat the game
Mm-hmm.
because I was one of those people that I stayed away from spoilers no matter what. I'm the type that I want to experience the game myself and then form my own opinion, and
Mm-hmm.
then I can like talk about it or debate about it. I don't want to like read something and then basically kind of get shifted to that lane. So then when I go into playing the game, like that's what I'm thinking about, and it kind of like constructs my view. I didn't want to do that. So I say that to say this, like as far as the rating goes, when it comes to like graphics, I feel like people kind of like swept the graphics underneath the rug because it's Naughty Dog. Like, for example, my brother was like, I was like, yo, the game looked amazing. How we just said, like the voice acting, all that good stuff. And he was like, I mean, but it's Naughty Dog. Like, it's supposed to look like that. I'm like, but that's a part of the game.
Right.
Like, you can't just say, like, okay, I got a car, I know it's gonna drive, but how does it drive?
That is Naughty Dog's thing, but that's not something to, people worked hard. People were kind of, maybe screwed over a little bit too much by Naughty Dog to, produce something that looks this good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I might have issues with this game, but I'm not gonna sit there and say like the graphics are trash or anything like that. They look amazing. It sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, the soundtrack is amazing, like you said. I just wanted to give like that part. Like, you have to give credit to that part. So I feel like a lot of people that did make this game, they they just got like swamped and like ran over by all the hate of the game, especially for people who didn't even play the game and
Right.
they just read spoilers and immediately like start like rating the game bad. I'm like, you didn't even play it for yourself. Like, how about you
Right.
play it and then if you still feel that way, okay.
And that was the thing, like you just brought up the soundtrack for it. It has this was always kind of a weird thing to me. I think it's weird when you have licensed stuff that actually exists and is kind of period accurate for some things, and then you have like a made up hardware store or like I know you would have to pay for these licenses. That's just
Mm-hmm.
always been a weird thing, but I remember there was the which song was it? She's
Ice
listening.
Cube.
Is Ice Cube in this?
Yes.
When does Ice Cube appear in it?
Not him, but his song.
Right.
When you're playing as Ellie and you're crawling through a vent and you see Nora down there. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
they're
yeah.
playing
Nora
Ice
when
Cube,
she's
and I
listening to
was like,
music.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad I wasn't putting this on the game, so I had to cut that out. Copyright.
Oddly enough, that didn't. Uh, My gameplay footage on Twitch got flagged not for that, oddly enough. It got flagged for like the credit sequences.
Hmm.
I can't remember the name of another singer, but it's who Ellie is listening to on the tape recorder. And I remember like I would listen to the song and I would like Google it. I was like, when did what did they call it? Outbreak Day or something like that happen? 2014. When did this song come out? 2013. Okay, so it is actually accurate that
Hmm.
they would have some of this music
Yeah.
and all that. And the world seems to have gotten, I guess, better in the 4 years. Like there seems to be kind of a jump, like with the towns being set up that you have power, which means you can have TVs, which means you can have a PlayStation 3 or movie nights, which just always seemed weird to me. But it still sets up stuff with the characters.
Hmm. Except for
So it's
one, but we'll talk about that later.
yeah, yeah, we'll talk about her later. Uh, is there anything else you want to talk about?
On the graphics, no, I think we got that out the way.
Okay, now we're on to gameplay, and I think we might have slightly different opinions on this for it. Like, I don't know, you went through and you platinumed it, so you put a lot more time into it than I did. I kind of
Hmm.
played through it, finished it, spent my points on cheat codes that I never bothered to use, and then kind of removed it from my system. I'm gonna say, like, in terms of gameplay, it's solid 90% of the time for me. Like, the big issue I had is I know a lot of people really like the dodge mechanic in the game.
Hmm.
Here's the thing, that dodge mechanic works 90% of the time, and that 10% of the time always gets me killed. There's a very specific part in it where you're in the woods fighting off, I think they're called stalkers, and all you
Oh
have
yeah.
a hammer, and you learn
Yeah.
really quickly that sometimes that dodge button does not know which enemy you're encountering or which enemy you're doing, and you will dodge into an enemy attack or run past them, which just leaves you completely open. I did not like the dodge button for it. I think that was kind of one of its bigger problems. And just I played through it on hard. I think you said you played through it on normal, or you might have like upscaled it later. I don't know.
No, I just played through it through normal because the first one, I think you had to, if you were like going trophy hunting, play on like the hardest
Hmm.
difficulties. And the last game I played, starting off hard, was one of the Tomb Raider games, and I was like,
Hmm.
never again. Especially because like once I like beat it, it was like that wasn't even a trophy. So I
Oh,
was
okay.
like, so I did that for what now? Like, so I said, if it's not required of me, then I'll just go in normal and then do whatever. So I played it on normal.
Yeah, I went through it on hard, and I will say, like, I know, I'm pretty sure there were some upgrades you could give yourself that would make stuff like lining up shots easier. Like, I know you could boost your accuracy,
Hmm.
but essentially for me, I felt like any weapon without a scope felt almost pointless for me to use, because the amount of time it would take for me to line up a shot compared to an enemy popping out of cover and just blowing me away did like I never like when I used the rifle, if I wasn't planning on using the scope for the rifle, I didn't use the rifle. If I didn't have the silencer for Ellie's main pistol, I didn't use the main pistol for it.
Okay.
Because like in most cases, like you saw me whenever I played, I would either run through and melee things or I would just run from combat because eventually I would just get frustrated. And the fact that you can just not sneak through combat, not fight your way through combat, you can start combat and then just say screw it and just run to the next area. Some people might see that as a benefit. I necessarily don't, because I feel like I'm missing out on something when I'm doing it.
Hmm.
And even more so with that, there was one mechanic, because I know you heard me say it on stream. When I would actively try to die, it's like the enemies could never hit me. And then one of the times I'm playing and it pops up this little loading screen message. It's like, oh, if you're charging at an enemy, they become deadly accurate. No, why is that a thing? Because maybe I'm just trash with guns in these games, but when something is charging me headlong and I'm not using, say, a shotgun, it is harder for me to line up a headshot. But with enemies, if I'm trying to charge them or do anything like that, all of a sudden their little, I can hit you 25% of the time turns into a 100% headshot and I'm hitting the ground. I don't know, that was just a mechanic I could not get behind. I didn't like. The only other thing I could think of is there might have been a story reason behind it, and I didn't like it in Last of Us 1. Definitely didn't like it in Last of Us 2 is I don't get why characters just don't carry a knife. Ellie carries a knife.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she
Other
does.
characters don't. I don't know why I'm, crafting shivs. Like even a throwaway line of, "Oh, I borrowed your knife," and then the person, goes missing or gets killed or disappears, so there's a reason you don't have a knife. But just, because some of these people are basically a part of resistance groups.
Mm-hmm.
Why is a knife not a standard issue thing for me? A rifle is apparently standard issue, but just a basic, hunting knife, a Bowie knife, even like I would accept a Swiss Army knife. Like Elia at least give is smart. She carries around that pocket knife so you can just, quickly kill a clicker.
Yeah. I
Now
didn't
that
even
hmm?
I didn't even think about that. I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't even think about that. I agree on the dodging mechanic. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's one thing that I was like, it was cool, but like it has this little window that you have to press it in.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially like you're fighting like the stalkers. Like if you press it too early, I still end up getting hit. So I'll like dodge and then they'll swing, or so you have to like wait kind of and then press it, and then you'll get your little 100% of the time.
See, that I can deal with. For me, it always just felt like sometimes I would dodge, and then other times it'd more like she'd just do a quick little sprint past the enemy,
Yeah.
and then they're behind you and they're just beating the living crap out of you. And I think on hard, 3 or 5 hits from a stalker is enough to kill you. And when you have to fight like 5 of them in a row, you're
Yeah.
kind of screwed.
I didn't have to go through that part. Didn't you say that when you played with Ellie you had like bugs? Not Ellie,
No.
Abby.
Yeah, yeah. I'll drop in a little recording of that if I still have it. Yeah, the first segment with Abby where you're riding on the truck, she just completely glitched out and she just basically like her upper half stayed at the base where we were at and her lower half was stuck to that truck. So she was just kind of creating this stretched long body along the entire experience. And it did not fix until we left that truck. So the entire combat sequence, she's just stretching out and it's looking weird. And really, I felt like I encountered more bugs in general with Abby. I don't think I encountered audio ones, which I've seen other people say that they have, but I encountered that bug with her. The dodging seemed to have become more of an issue with her. The what was this really weird one I had with her? I encountered this glitch. It actually happened later in the game. I don't want to get into too much spoilers, but when you get like the fire axe and you can one hit kill people?
Fire axe?
Yeah, certain enemies would carry a fire axe.
I don't think I ever picked up a fire axe. Oh yes, wait, yes I have. Okay, yes I have.
Well, a
Yes I have.
fire axe, a pickaxe. It's what the
Yeah,
big the
yeah,
big scars carry
yeah,
usually. I would run up to someone and I would hit them with that axe and I would go through the killing animation, but it would be like a duplicate of that person would create. So you would see their body fall and hit the ground, and then there would still be another person in the exact same spot as them. So I don't know if I just had a really bad run and I started encountering things. The only other thing I have, and I know I have a recording of this, is sometimes like I like when you have teammates with you, that's great. When they do what you want, it's perfect. There was one time where I was relying heavily on Jesse to kill someone for me. So I went and like
yeah. Oh
grabbed
my
a guy
gosh.
from the behind and he just wants to hide behind cover. He didn't even pop out to shoot anybody. So I'm just sitting here yelling at Jesse to do something because I've
Yeah.
got a human shield. I've got like 4 people pointing guns at me.
See anything? Shut. It's in the grass.
Jesse? Jesse, what the fuck are you doing? Jesse? Jesse? God damn it, Jesse.
Push forward.
I don't know, like
That
it's weird. I never felt like I understood what my AI companion would do. Like sometimes they would be amazing and I could literally just run around the room and they would kill everything for me as I drew attention. And then other times they just kind of sat there.
that was gonna be my next point, like
Hmm.
about Dina being pointless. Like that was like my thing. Like she did nothing for me the entire game as far as helping me out.
Oh, see,
Besides the movie scene. She was like on
so
top of this thing and she shot somebody and then she ended up falling down and when she got caught. Like besides that movie scene, she did nothing for me. I was like screaming at her the entire time. Move, get out my way. Can
oh,
you
see,
move? Let me climb this. Are you gonna shoot this person? Do you have anything? Oh my gosh, why are you here? That was pretty much me.
I kind of had the opposite. Because at least on hard, there's more limited ammo and all that, and your AI companion never has to worry about ammo. So like the bank, I found myself when clickers would show up or just stronger enemies if I didn't want to waste ammo. Yeah, Dina, for whatever reason, became like a crack shot when I needed her to, or the first time you encounter, I think they're called bloaters. It's the newer enemy in the
The newer
game.
ones?
What'd you say?
Yeah. No, they're
Yeah,
not. The bloaters are the
the big
big ones.
guys.
Yeah, I
Okay.
forgot what the new people are. Something with an S.
Yeah. She the one time where you're fighting them in, I think it's a sewer or something like that, and it's a confined space, I just kept running around in this circle, just leading it around, and it didn't have time to throw anything. And she would just pull out a rifle from nowhere and just start blowing that thing away. So I got words to say about Dina, but in terms of the AI, she saved my ass a bunch of times. And that's an example of, hey, the AI is great. Why isn't it doing this more often?
Dina sucked for me. Jesse was like he was decent for me. Like he do his job. Like he
No, not
moves
for
over
me.
here, he was shooting people. I'm like, see, Jesse, this is why I like you. I appreciate you, Jesse. Dina, no. Dina was horrible for me. And until like when they switched them out, I was like, bro, can she just go home? Like I'm basically doing it myself anyway.
No, see, Jesse was the one that I didn't have problems with. I got a lot to say about Jesse when when we get to the little spoiler section of this. I think that's everything for gameplay that I have, though.
Yeah, better be no disrespect for the Jesse, man.
Oh,
I don't need your disrespect today. I know you're gonna talk about the part you say you called it.
yeah.
Besides that, I don't need the disrespect. All right.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move into spoiler territory now.
Yes, let's talk about this and all the hate.
Okay, so we got. Let's go ahead and cover characters first.
I'm gonna
So,
let you good. You got the list.
oh yeah, so I've got my stuff split up. So we have the Jacksonville crew, which
Oh,
basically
that you
consists
broke it
of,
down in crews.
yeah, because there's a lot of characters and a lot of them are pointless. Uh, so we have Joel. So Joel returns from the last game, and he's kind of the catalyst for the story.
Yeah.
Uh, the entire point of this thing is basically revenge for what Joel did in the previous game and revenge for what happens to Joel.
Yeah. So
Oh,
let's before you like go into the list, just let me just speed run it real quick for
okay.
those that did not play Last of Us Part One, which you should have by now, but some people out there have not. Just spoiler warning, as we said, we are in the spoiler section. So in part one, the whole premise of the game is getting Ellie to this I'm just gonna call it like hospital where she can potentially produce a cure since she was immune to infection.
Mm-hmm.
You spend all this time with Joel and Ellie, and he developed a relationship with her like his daughter that he had previously. And about time it got to the end where he finds out that they're gonna have to kill her to potentially make a cure. Joel was like, "Hell no!" To the no, 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 and he murdered everybody in that hospital, getting her to escape. And then he lied to her at the end of the game, telling her that it wasn't no cure.
Mm-hmm.
Now we fast forward into part two, and the premise of this game, just like my good old co-host said, um, it's all about revenge. The doctors and everything, the people that they killed and that Joel killed in part one, the main doctor, the one that was going to do the potential cure, is one of the characters, Abby's father.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets murdered off, and now she lives a life of revenge where she wants to find Joel, and she spends all this time looking for him and running to so many dead ends until she finally got this one little clue, and then that takes them to Jackson. They eventually run into each other, which I got some stuff to say about that. But they eventually run into each other, and then she does get her revenge, thus putting thus crashing the course to where Ellie now is seeking revenge for Joel being killed. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
this endless cycle.
Just so you know, the name of that doctor is Jerry.
Oh, it
Uh,
was Jerry?
yes, his
I don't
name is
remember that.
Jerry. I only know that because when I went looking for the name of another character, I kept seeing Jerry pop up and I had to Google it.
Well, there
But
you
yeah,
go.
so
Jerry
so
the doctor.
Doctor does have a name.
Just calling him Doctor. But okay, you can go with your point. So we have the Jacksonville crew.
Right. So the Jacksonville crew basically consists of Joel, who again dies like 30 minutes into the game, and like we
Yes.
said, is the catalyst for the revenge story.
Mhm.
Ellie, who you already did a really good job of summarizing who it is. Basically, Joel's surrogate daughter. Between the 4 years between Last of Us One and Last of Us Two, their relationship kind of splinters because she finds out the truth of what happened at the Firefly facility.
Yeah.
There's another key thing, and you brought it up in the last one, but it feels like it's kind of ignored in this one, is that she is immune.
Yeah.
But that's kind of
I felt like that was thrown way in the back on this one.
Yeah, like
I think it
originally,
was only mentioned once. Well,
well, you
not
get
once, probably like once, probably like 3 times.
she tells Dina,
Yeah,
then she
that was
confirms it
one.
with Dina, confronts Abby, thinking that's the reason why Abby killed Joel. At the very end of the game, she does get like another small bite
Yeah.
that they allude to. Well, they don't even allude to it. Like that's the whole reason the guy gives her information.
Oh
And
yeah, and then the Nora thing when Nora was about to die
oh
and she was
yeah,
like, "You're not
yeah,
wearing a mask."
yeah. We have Tommy. Now, Tommy is one that, I feel like they dropped the ball on Tommy because really we didn't learn anything new about Tommy that wasn't said in the last one. That's basically he's Joel's brother,
Hmm.
also wants revenge. I'd say wants revenge more than anybody else. And he
Not
was a
at
former
first.
Firefly.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think because he leaves before Ellie.
Yeah,
I
but
think
that's
he was just trying to play it off. Like I think they keep alluding to that Tommy is like a hard ass and
yeah.
like all of these things that he did in his past, but at no point do we really see Tommy do anything. We do get a sequence later on that
Yeah.
involves someone from the WLF,
Hmm.
but for the most part that was kind of a letdown for me. Is I was like I think we could have done with some like Ellie Tommy time.
I thought they were gonna do that. Once we like met up with him, I thought it was gonna be like Ellie and Tommy, and we really get to like learn like how crazy he's supposed to be.
Mhm. And, we get a few touches on that near the end of the game. When we get into the story, I'll address that portion of it. We have, I don't know, do you remember Eugene?
Yeah, I remember them talking about him, but I don't think we ran across them besides a picture.
So the whole reason I have Eugene written down is because I feel like they put more development into a character we never met than they do into characters that you spend hours in the game with. So like essentially Eugene is Dina's friend, taught
Hmm.
her about repairing electronics, which becomes kind of what allows Ellie to track stuff later on. He
Yeah.
was a former Firefly, served with Tommy, was Tommy's friend. He has an entire pot farm underneath a
Yeah.
building that he kept secret. I feel like I know more about Eugene than I
Then
do, say,
Tommy.
Tommy
Yeah.
or some of the other people. Let's see, let's move on to another one. Who else do I got down here? So Dina and Jesse.
Oh my gosh.
So Dina is Ellie's girlfriend.
Ah,
Jesse's former girlfriend
yeah.
goes out with Ellie to Seattle for some reason. That always felt weird to me. Like, I don't I don't get why Dina went after or why Dina went to Seattle with her.
Yeah. Let me hop in because that's the same thing I was saying. Like
Hmm.
their whole, and I'm probably gonna get flack, but their whole relationship, I didn't get it. Like it wasn't like a relationship. We didn't get like time. It wasn't nurtured. It
Right.
didn't. It seemed like she talked to Ellie just to spite Jesse.
Right. And I think that's going to tie into something I'm going to say about another character later on.
Oh, I know.
I don't think I never quite understood how to feel about Dina. Like I think by the end, yeah, she did have true feelings for Ellie. That might have had something to do with not being able to go back to another character, but she was just kind of immature for the most part, and I get that that was kind of an idea they were going for,
Were they?
and I think that's what they were trying to push at because, like, everybody kept having to push on her to actually pay attention to doing what she needed to do. She would rather play like snowball fights with the kids rather than go out on the patrols. She basically would get high while out on patrols, which seems like a really bad thing to do when you're dealing with mushroom zombies. And
Well, that technically was supposed to be an easy route, though.
yeah, and I don't know, like I didn't enjoy Dina, and I don't feel like you spent really enough time with Dina.
Yes.
And I'm just gonna say this, like really any character, you don't spend more than a couple of hours with any character that you actually stay with the exception of another one later on, but you don't spend near enough time to actually get an attachment to it. Like when okay, we're in spoilers, so Dina is pregnant with Jesse's kid,
Hmm.
and I'm assuming it took several weeks for them to get from Jacksonville
Jackson to Seattle.
to Seattle because she does make mention that she thought she might have been for a couple of weeks.
Hmm.
So I'm like, okay, maybe you weren't dumb enough to think you were pregnant and then go to Seattle to fight a bunch of things. Maybe you didn't know at that point. I'm willing to write that little portion off.
Yeah, I can give him that.
But we didn't really get this. Like, I think really what would have helped with them is maybe doing the entire trip to Seattle with Dina to actually build up, because the moment you make it to the movie theater,
That's a
she's
wrap,
she's
pretty
just there.
much. Yeah.
You don't really even get like radio talk with her or anything like that. It's just like, oh, this is where I need to go. We're gonna argue a little bit. I'm gonna leave. Oh, Jesse shows up, and then like I said, let's allude into Jesse here. Jesse shows up a couple hours into Ellie's campaign. I think he actually had a reason, because they kind of just tell you. He's like, oh yeah, I respected Joel. I looked up to
Yeah.
Joel. Again, that would have been a better reason for Jesse to actually show up.
Jesse should have went with her initially to me instead of
Yeah,
Dina.
yeah,
So like you
and
said, he respected Joel, and he's the one that came to them when they were over there getting high and having
yeah.
sex, and was like, "Yo, they're going missing."
I don't really quite know why they didn't put enough on it. It's, really, like I said before, Jesse's just Dina's ex, shows up later half to help Ellie, and then leaves when Ellie goes in a route that he doesn't believe in because he wants to go help Tommy.
Hmm.
And then, I'm just gonna say this, it's like we're in spoiler thing, so he's basically a walking 2 weeks from retirement gag.
Yeah,
And I'm just gonna say, called it. I called how he would die. I
you
called that
did.
he would die.
You did. You're like, Jesse's
And
gonna
that,
die, isn't he? And you're like, he's gonna get shot in the head.
yeah.
I was like, I'm not
Because
saying
it's
anything.
like, oh, he's going to be a dad. He's talking about his childhood. He's talking about his mom and his family and how they're going to react to having the kid. I was like, the only time I ever saw something that was written, in my opinion, that poorly and that easy to predict was Assassin's Creed Origin, when you're spending time with that character's son and they're like, oh, yeah, you will one day be a great warrior. You'll become a guard. You'll do this. I'm like, this kid's going to get fed to a damn crocodile, isn't he? This is going to be horrible.
Yeah, that's
And
the good old cliche
and
writing.
like I wanted to like Jesse, but the thing is, since we didn't really spend time with him, I didn't feel anything when he got killed. Like when he is killed, it is technically shocking because it just kind of happens.
Hmm.
But maybe if I like Dina more, I would feel worse for that. But the thing is, this game likes introducing characters and likes killing them off.
Yeah,
So
that's like the theme in this game.
yeah, so when he died, I was like, oh, okay, he's dead. That sucks.
I was
Love triangle's over now, so that's one less thing I'm gonna have to worry about.
I don't know, I felt a little more connected to Jesse only because I don't know, they sprinkled a little more stuff in there. Like he was the first person walking with Ellie,
Hmm.
joking about the whole kiss thing and everything. I was
Hmm.
like, he cool, he a cool dude. And then he's the guy that came back to let them know that Joel and Tommy haven't checked in.
Hmm.
Also in flashbacks, Joel was like, "Yo, I see the way Jesse talked to you," or
Hmm.
and he was like, Jesse wants you to go on these patrols. And it was like always going back to him. So I had like a little more connection. I was kind of like doing something when he got shot. So I was like, okay, somebody here. I'm thinking we're gonna go out there and just have a movie scene. So I think I was like playing and doing something. So when he got shocked, I was like, oh my god, no, because I wasn't like really paying it, like fully paying attention to be like, yo, something about to happen. I thought Tommy was gonna be like hemmed up or something
Yeah.
instead of like freaking her doing the greatest shot ever as you came
Hmm.
through the door. Then I was like, damn, we didn't even like get a chance to like really play with him. Like, you had him for like 20 seconds and then you already killed him off.
And I think how you just worded it is they kept telling you all of this stuff, but they didn't show it. And
Yeah.
here's the thing, this is where I feel like I know Druckmann worked on the first game. I think he technically wrote the first game too. I don't
Did
know.
he really?
He's listed as a writer on it. I don't know if he was the
I
full
don't know if
writer or
he
not.
yeah, I don't think he was, to be honest.
But
The DLC though.
I don't think he understood why Joel's death mattered so much to a lot of people, and it's not because Joel was who you played as in the last one. It's because you had, I think, how long was the first game? Somewhere between like 12 and 18 hours or something like that. It was a pretty decently length game, but you had all of that time to build up and connect with these characters. That's why Joel's death mattered. In Last of Us 2, I'm just told that these characters matter. I'm not getting to build that connection myself. So I
About
wanted
15 to 25 hours, depending on what you do.
okay. So yeah, so again, that is a lot of time to spend with basically two people.
Two characters, yes.
I know, and I think that's what kind of builds into they wanted to expand everything out. They wanted more characters, but when
Mhm.
you have more characters, you either have to choose to have a bunch and focus on a very small portion of them, or do what they did in this and try and spread out as many of them as possible.
Yeah,
And
because do you remember on The Last of Us 1 when I don't remember what happened to Joel, but it was the first time they did that switch, and now you had to play as Ellie. And
yes,
you
and you
that
thought
part,
Joel died?
yes, like that
Yes.
part was like when I was playing, I was like, bro, don't let me go back and he dead. Like that's the connection that they developed with you with those two characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, on two, I think they spread it too thin. Like
Mm-hmm.
especially when when you're doing like a perspective type of game, like you want to show like both point of views. Like we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have enough time, and this game was
Mm-hmm.
way longer than the original one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, even with that much game added, it still wasn't enough time to actually like develop characters that you care about, besides the ones you came in there originally caring about, which are just Joel and Ellie.
Right.
And then you killed Joel, like you said, 30 minutes, 20 minutes into the game. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Then I don't even get to play with the other character that I am connected with
Mm-hmm.
because we're switching back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And then the
So
people that accompany her, we don't even get that quality time
and like even then when you're playing as Ellie, there's a good chunk you're just with Ellie by herself.
by herself. Yes. And I felt like they did that a lot. Like they'll like have you with someone, do like 30 minutes to an hour or so with that person. And then they're like, all right, we're going to find some excuse to make them separate. And then you're going to play as Ellie until we've to eventually switch to a different character or bring the other character back in a movie scene.
And I know there's going to be someone out there that's saying, "Well, that was the point. It's supposed to show how, revenge drives you and it ruins relationships and it does all these things because it creates conflict." And
Sorry, I was rolling my eyes.
yeah, and the thing is like it only creates conflict if you care about the people involved in it.
Thank you.
So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. The only point I felt conflicted about was at the very end when One-Eyed Tommy shows back up and
Oh
he's
my
like,
God.
"You made that promise to me," and he gets into the fight with Dina and with
Yeah.
Ellie and whatnot. That was the only true point of conflict that I had, is because I got what Tommy was saying and what he was doing, especially where the events of what happened make him
Yeah.
physically incapable of seeking his own revenge, so he has to go to other people.
Yeah. I
And
agree on that. I agree on that because I was like, and I know we said we'll say this later. I was like, I would rather have played with Abby the
mhm.
entire game and not even like did Ellie and everything, and y'all could have had like the same things. Could have had. I said I would have took that scene that they showed when Tommy came there, and I would have put it as like an end credit scene for part 3.
I'm going to touch on that more later
But
because
I
I do agree entirely with you that I said when I finished Last of Us 1 I didn't really want a sequel, and then when they
same.
announced a sequel I wanted it. If you were to do a sequel I was like, Joel and Ellie's story is pretty much done. Let's
Yeah.
introduce a new character and play as them. I would have really enjoyed an entire Abby based game
Yeah.
that, build up the WLF, build
Yes.
up all of these other characters to make me care about them. That's going to tie into more stuff later on, so I'm just going to put like a little bookmark in there.
And then you get the conflict of her killing Joel if you
Yeah,
still want to go that route, but at the very end.
yeah. And then so that's all the people I remember from Jacksonville that really mattered. There's Tommy's wife. There's
But she doesn't really do anything.
yeah, she's just
Not
kind
in
of
like
there.
part 1 or 2.
Same with Seth, who is just the
I
bar
don't even
owner
know
that's a
who's. Oh,
homophobe.
that's the one guy.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whenever I tried looking up another character, I ended up finding the names of all these other ones that again don't matter. But I
yeah.
find it
These are
funny
the
that
only
they
core.
played less of a role, but they got a name credit, so that was funny.
Yeah, these are the only core people that mattered in
Yes.
this game. And like, yeah, if they were with what they gave us, it should have been the Tommy and Ellie show.
It should like they should have just stuck with it, Tommy and Ellie, Tommy and Ellie, Ellie and Dina, Ellie and Jesse,
Jesse.
Ellie
Yeah,
and
that's it. Tommy
yeah.
again. Like that's it. Because I really want to see it because on part one, I was saying with the whole Joel death thing, like on part one, Joel basically couldn't even get into the same town with Tommy. That's how much of like how strict and how careful he was.
Right.
And I'm like, and that's his brother. So I'm like, I don't see how you went from that Tommy to the Tommy in this game saying, "Hey, everybody I meet, my name's Tommy. This is Joel. I know we probably killed 1,000 people before we got here, but come
Yeah, I
on."
mean, they even tie into that because when Joel is being killed, he doesn't know which of the things he did is actually causing this to happen.
Yeah. I'm like, in that scene, Joel, it seemed like Joel was the only one that recognized, okay, something is about to happen.
Yeah.
And Tommy just sitting there crouching over this, anybody got a coffee I can drink?
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, that's not Tommy at
And
all.
here's the thing, for this game to have as many flashbacks in it as it is, because you get flashbacks and flashbacks. The second half of the game is in itself a 4-day flashback, which triggers 4-year flashbacks, 2-year flashbacks.
Yeah.
You could have
Dream
built up more.
flashbacks.
Yeah, you could have built up more with Tommy and Joel and seen them, become softer
Yes,
and
if you
maybe
want to
start
go that
making more
route.
mistakes.
Yeah.
I don't have any other characters from Jacksonville. Did you want to move on to the WLF or the Wolves?
Uh, yeah.
Okay, so we brought up before that there is a shift. That's where Abby comes in. She's the second playable character, and she's a part of another faction. Well, at one point, another faction. She was a former Firefly, now a member of the WLF or the Wolves.
Mhm.
And her father was killed by Joel
Jerry.
during, or yes, Jerry. Jerry was killed. I didn't even write Jerry down in my notes because, yeah. Her father, Jerry, was killed by Joel. He was the head doctor for
Mhm.
the surgery. And then she kills Joel. There are other people present, but outside of them restraining people, she is the person who kills Joel.
Yeah.
Um, that's really all I have to say about her for it. I mean, I could add in other things. Apparently, she likes collecting coins, and she's afraid of heights.
Yeah.
That's really all I drew from who she was as a
Wait,
character.
wait. We gotta talk about one of the things where there was so much controversy about her as a character.
Oh, the fact that she's got really big arms.
Yeah. So the internet kind of killed her because one, they thought she was a transgender. Spoiler alert: she's not. She's actually just a woman. But I do agree with the arms. Like,
Mhm.
trust me, I weightlift. I train people. I've been around professional weightlifters, professional people, and it's no way possible from when they show Abby's physique when she was younger or young-ish,
Mhm.
and to where she is now, that she can get that big without enhancement. Like
They
she
did
had to be
they
on
did seem
steroids.
weird to me just because I wasn't bothered so much by the fact that she was, just really big because I know they said she was based on an actual like bodybuilder, like a competition bodybuilder,
Mm-hmm.
but the head and the other stuff did not. It felt like they took her head and put it on someone else's body.
Yes.
And even more so when she would walk around with, the tank top on, it literally just looked like they pulled like a man's arms and stuck them to her. It looked weird. Like they needed to beef her up, like her face up a little bit more. Her legs needed to be beefed up a little bit more. And like she's big in general. Like I'm just gonna say this, like they had to come up with a reason at the very end for Ellie to be able to take Abby in a one-on-one fight because Abby just kicks her ass.
Yeah, she does.
Like there is no way in a one-on-one fight, like on fair grounds at their peaks, Abby would lose to Ellie.
And you said, and wasn't she based off Laura Bailey?
Is it Laura Bailey?
So I'm like, Laura's not that big at all.
Let me check real quick.
If that was her,
She's
or is she
based
based off
on
someone else?
well, Laura Bailey, Abby's model, real life face. I think Laura Bailey was the face actress.
Okay, so who is the body?
I'm trying to look that up.
Is it Colleen? Is it Foch? Fotsch?
Is it a blonde woman with her hair pulled back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's Colleen. Yeah, Colleen Fochish. I've seen her like normal weightlifting photos versus her competition photos where she basically dehydrates herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she has arms like Abby and she has like a body like, Abby, but that kind of ties into where I was saying like her head, you can tell her head was not based off the body. It just looks like they took that other woman's face inspiration, stuck it on Colleen's body,
Mm-hmm.
and it just looks weird and awkward. And I'm just gonna say this, like, I get that people didn't like Abby. Don't be a dick and send like a threatening thing to anybody,
Oh
because
yeah,
all they
that's
were
jacked
doing
up.
was their job. Like,
To say that I was going to a tangent to say that, and this shouldn't be like a secret to anybody, but you got your. That's why you have this in the weightlifting world, in the fitness world. That's why you have the conversation of natties versus
mm-hmm,
non-natties,
mm-hmm,
and it's impossible to be natural. Like I can get huge. Abby looks like she just hit the gym and she kept that gym buff on. Like,
right,
your body swells up and then it's gonna be like that for a little bit, then it'll come back down. Like
mm-hmm.
she seemed like she permanently got the swell, and even with that, she wouldn't be that big. Like I can get huge. I can put on so many pounds of muscle, but like naturally, I can only get so big. It's only way for me to break that barrier is to have like a test booster or some type of enhancement, which is steroids.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way you get that big. And women don't produce that much testosterone. That's why they can't get physically that huge. I'm like, so Abby arms being bigger than all the dudes on the game, I'm like, cut it out. She was like yoking dudes. Like when she killed it like clickers and stuff, she was doing it barehanded. I'm
Well,
like,
when the video, the cinematic portions of the game, she could do that. But you
yeah,
had to
but
craft them shivs if you wanted to
yeah,
actually survive a clicker in any other situation.
yeah. Like when she do her little cinematic death thing, she's like doing it like pressing, pushing them down. Like when she
Mm-hmm.
pressed Owen against a boat, I'm like, Owen, you can't get her off you. I'm like, dude, like it would have made more sense if Abby was some crazy soldier that's like trained and did all this, and then she hit that wall. And to break past it, like, yo, it's dudes that are physically stronger than me because they're just that big. Like, I need to protect myself. So if she took some type of enhancement, it would have been fine. You could have used that as a side note when we walked past the gym. You know, it made sense. But I just wanted to get on that tangent because her arm shouldn't have been that huge and that small little head. I'm like, come on. Anywho, but I think Abby caught a lot of flack for no reason. I don't think she was a bad character. It's just we didn't get enough time with her to actually like develop that Ellie Joel type of nature or
Well,
connection.
and I think they kind of dropped the ball with your first real introduction to Abby is her killing Joel.
Yeah, that too.
So, people who weren't even going to finish the game, I
Or
think the
maybe,
moment that they realize, oh crap, I'm going to start having to play as this character, then they might have just turned the game off.
yeah, a lot of
Uh,
people did. They played up to the point you killed Joel, and then they stopped playing, and then they went on Metacritic and everything else, and was like,
mhm.
"This game sucks," and I'm like, "You didn't even finish the game."
And I'm just going to say this. Basically, if you were to describe Joel, it's basically he is angry, controlling, protective, son of a bitch. And he's done a lot of bad things in the past that he basically just writes off as, I had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I sat there, I was like, I wasn't upset that Joel died. That was basically the ending Joel should have gotten no matter what.
Yeah, it was gonna eventually happen.
But I think a lot of people just didn't want to accept that aspect of it, that could happen for it. I really think that they tried to take advantage of like fans' emotions to the extent of, oh, we want to make them upset that Joel died, and then got
Mm-hmm.
upset that fans can be emotional and do dumb things, like, threaten the voice actors or threaten the people who worked on it or anything like that.
That was dumb too.
Yeah, yeah. I was okay with how it happened or anything like that, but I think that there were better ways narratively they could have done it that would have eased the fans of the first game into it.
I think they were
And
looking for a moment.
they purely wanted a shock moment.
Yeah, I'm
And the
like,
problem is when you have leaks happen, that completely destroys your shock moment.
yeah,
I had originally not really planned on playing this game, so if I heard spoilers, I heard them. So I was not keeping myself in the dark like you were for it. So I knew like the key things that would happen. Like I knew Joel died. I knew there would be a character change halfway through the game. I heard like some rumors that ended up being false, like that Ellie would die.
okay, yeah, I
So
heard that too.
yeah, so a lot of the rumors I heard ended up being false, but the key ones of Joel dying, character change 50% of the way, and you're going to play as the character who killed Joel. those ended up being true. I heard the rumors, I didn't seek them out because I just didn't care. So I went in knowing certain things, but I'm sure like I not known Joel died, I probably would have been more shocked by that. Oh, I take it back. I would have 100% been more shocked that Joel died, and I probably would have been more angry. But I
Uh,
don't think my opinion of Abby would have changed. In that
uh,
I don't really mind Abby as a character for the most part. Like I understood why she killed Joel, and I agree with why she killed Joel. Just like
mhm.
at the end of the first game, I understood why Joel did what he did in the hospital. I
Yeah.
might not have necessarily agreed with it, but I understood why he did it, and I would have disagreed with the ending to the game if Joel hadn't done that.
Same. Like I didn't know. I mean, I had a feeling Joe was gonna die just from the trailers, and I said it
Hmm.
in every reaction video. I was like, "Yo, they about to like." I'm like, "Don't do this to me. Joe deserves better."
Hmm.
So I knew that he was gonna die somewhere in the game. I didn't know he was gonna die that early, so it
Hmm.
was a little shocking. And then how they went about doing it. That's pretty much my reason for not for being upset with the scene. I didn't care
Hmm.
that he died though.
Right.
Like I would have did it how we said earlier. I probably would have did it at the end with playing the whole game with Abby, but it was just like the placement of when he died and then like how it came about. But him actually dying, I didn't really care about it because that's what happens. Like eventually, like anybody
Hmm.
that's done anything crazy, you live a certain type of lifestyle that you always have to look over your shoulder, and that's what happens. Like if you might do something to one person and didn't know they had a family,
Hmm.
and that family is gonna someone's gonna want revenge, and that's usually what happens. Like soon as you get comfortable, that's when you get caught. So I wasn't mad about her actually, or her or anybody else that was at the hospital that didn't die.
Right.
Wasn't mad that anyone would have like sought him out because from their end this doctor was gonna potentially save the world,
Hmm.
and you just murdered not only the doctor but 70 to 80% of the hospital.
Hey, you know how many zebras that Dr. Jerry could have saved if Joel didn't do what he did? You know how many more zebras?
But I do like that they threw this one part in the game, and I wish they really like actually played up on it more.
Hmm.
Is when I forgot her name, the Firefly.
Um, Mira?
Is it Mira?
Mara?
Mara.
Mara, I think.
And when she was talking to Jerry, and
Hmm.
she was like, basically breaking it down to him, like, what if it was your daughter? Because no one talks about that. We don't know if the cure would have worked. It was just potential. You could have killed her, and then that was it. Well, what do you get from it? Data? We don't
Hmm.
know if anyone else is immune, and the only way to find out is let someone get bit.
And when we get into predictions for the next game, I've got a whole thing to say about that too. Like
So
for
I
where I
was
think they're
like,
gonna go in the third one.
mm-hmm. I mean, I understood Joe, and I probably would have did the same thing. Like,
Marlene. Her name was Marlene.
Marlene, that's what it was. Yeah, I would have did the same thing. Like you play the game in the beginning and you lose your daughter,
Yes.
and then Joe went on this crazy war path, and we know because we've been heard stories of how crazy he was and all the stuff
Hmm.
he did because he had to do it. And then he meets a girl that he don't even want to travel with, and you build that bond. Now he's connected to a person who's like his daughter, you said surrogate daughter, and you want him to kill her again, so he'll be losing two of his daughters. The chick that he was with, she killed herself because she got bit. Forgot her name. I don't remember her
Tess.
name. Tess, yes. So Tess is gone. So all you have is Ellie pretty much because your brother was in a whole nother city. You travel this thing thinking, hey, maybe they're probably gonna draw blood and do all this and try to like do a cure, and you tell me you gotta kill her. I have to just be cool with that. No, that's I understand why Joel did it, and like you said, then I understand why Abby did it. Why
Hmm.
she killed Joe. I'm like, it was 50-50. It could have worked and it couldn't have worked, but because you took it took the variable off the table, we
Right.
never know now. So I understand that. But we didn't talk
And
about the other people like Nora and Manny
all
and
right.
Owen and Mel.
Well, you brought up Owen, so let's go ahead and jump into Owen. So essentially, this is where you start getting into the Ellie and Abby are more similar than anything else because
Yeah, they tried
you
to
have,
draw that point.
Owen is Abby's
Yeah.
and Mel's current boyfriend, I think boyfriend,
Fling, that's what I
also
call it.
right. Yeah, he was also a former Firefly. He was there when when Jerry died
Mm-hmm.
or was killed. So he was a survivor of that. He was there when Abby killed Joel. He didn't directly participate in it, to my understanding for it, or the way I looked at it. That was basically solely an Abby thing. Some people held Joel down, but I don't think Owen was one of them. He might have. I could just be remembering it wrong. And his only other thing is that he is the father of Mel's child.
Yeah.
And the one thing I'll give like Owen is that I kind of question like his level of wanting revenge because I think his thing was more, and basically with everyone else there is, I think they were there because they wanted revenge for what happened at that facility. And I think Owen, for the most part, I think he started out probably wanting more revenge, but by the end of it, he had
Yeah.
softened a lot. They actually did show
Yes.
him softening.
Yeah.
I feel like they put way more effort into Owen
Into
than they did
Owen,
a lot of other
yes.
characters. I think originally he was all for the revenge thing, and then it was just I still have feelings for Abby. She needs this. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be
So
there
I'm just
for her
gonna
when
be
she
there.
needs this. Because the only reason Ellie and Tommy are alive are because he stops them.
Yeah, he did. Because
So if you want to
the
get
guy that got his
technical,
face cut.
the whole reason, shit hits the fan is also technically Owen's fault.
Yeah.
But he starts out like anyone else, like he was a soldier. They talk about what they did, and then by
The
the
other
end of it he
places.
just doesn't
You
want to
can
do anything.
you can tell too, because being that I served too, like you
Hmm.
see him, like he got the military cut, he got the
Hmm.
clean face and everything. And one of the biggest things that we do in the military are what we say, like we're like, yo, once we get out, I'm just relaxing. I'm growing my
Hmm.
facial hair out. I'm growing my hair out. I'm just chilling, and like that showed like his side when he was softening. How he was clean cut, militaristic. I don't even. That's not a word, but we using that. And then by the end, you see him with the scruff, the little long hair and or longer hair, and him basically like trying to find a way out, but he's only like doing it just to appease Abby because he still wanted them cakes.
Well, well, by the end of it, I think he was always like the person that joined up for pure safety things. Like I think that's why he was in the Fireflies, is because he thought he was doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you see him when he's younger, he is the polar opposite of Abby.
Yeah.
He'll skip training, he'll skip other stuff. He I think he's the type of person, he's the more like world seer. He wants to see what's out there and
Mm-hmm.
knows that there's more out there. He's willing to do a lot of stuff for other people. Like he puts his own feelings aside
Needs.
for other people and his own needs
Yeah.
aside for other people. And when he does try to do stuff that he feels is the right thing, I think there's a lot of pushback with it.
I agree. Cause I when that it was a certain part on that boat when Abby was like yoking him up and like pressing him against the thing where he was saying like, what do you want me to like go look for the people that killed my parents? And
And
like,
that was something I wanted a little bit more info on, because that kind of came out there out of nowhere, that was never something that they talked about, and being like what could have linked them together a little bit more.
mm-hmm. Cause like when he said that, I was like, bro, it's so much more depth to Owen that we can get more. Cause he was
Hmm.
saying like, yo, like what was the point of it? You killed Joel, and now what? Like nothing changed.
And I think with him, he was one of the few people that were a part of the WLF that okay, so when you're playing through it, you basically kill all of these people and then you flashback and then you get a chance to know them.
Yeah,
He was pretty much one of the few where I think it kind of worked, where it's like, oh, Owen died. I felt bad for Owen. Just like when right before the flashback, you get that scene with Abby and she like points the gun at her and she goes, we let you live.
mm-hmm. You wasted
You
it.
wasted it. It's like you killed my friends. Maybe there was a scene that was cut out for that. They're really the only people she should know that were killed were were Owen, Mel, and Alice.
Yeah,
Like, you killed all of my friends. No,
she
I
shouldn't have known about Nora.
and I don't think she necessarily did. I really think that what it was becoming was more of you killed Owen.
Yeah, cause she didn't care about Mel.
No.
And
Like,
I did feel bad for Owen too. Like once we like got to play as Abby, so I think they did a good job with Owen. Like I actually
mhm,
liked him. I
mhm.
was like, yo, I actually see that he likes her, and it feels genuine. It was like this dude was getting ready to leave. Like he was getting ready to like leave and go somewhere entirely different, and the only reason he was trying to stop you is because Mel was pregnant. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure he would have stood there.
And I know that there was, the love triangle thing. Technically, Owen did cheat on Mel.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads into a thing later on where Mel directly tells Abby, if you get on the boat, I'm not.
I'm not, yeah.
And I know that there was this complicated thing in it and all this other stuff that So I'm just going to jump into this now. Like, if we want to go back to Owen, we can. I didn't like Mel. Mel basically boiled down to is like she's pregnant with Owen's kid. She was one of Jerry's students. And really, the game just likes putting her in really weird, situations for a woman that's that pregnant.
I'm just going to say it. Mel was just a jump off. I think it was probably a fight that happened with Abby and Owen. He probably got some of his good old liquor in him, and he ended up going over there with Mel. Things got a little hot and heavy. She gets knocked up, and he basically just got with her out of obligation, pretty much. Even before he probably knew, because Abby wasn't gonna like get back with him, but he always liked Abby.
That was kind of where I sat there when you first meet Mel when you're playing as Abby. It's like, oh, we're gonna go on this like little this mission, and then Mel shows up, and she's like about ready to pop at that point.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why would you agree to this? Like, one, why would you agree being that pregnant to do something like this? Two, why would Manny, like, oh, you guys need to talk. You need to be, you haven't said anything since, the incident up in Jacksonville. No, I'm sorry. She would have lost that kid on that mission.
Yeah, I'm like, y'all couldn't go to a room
Yeah.
and talk? Like, you got her hopping fences, getting shot. Like, come on. You're not doing all that.
She just comes off as, like, really bitter. I know they bring up something with Owen where he was off on that mission for several weeks, and she seemed upset about that. So I feel like part of the reason she took that mission she was doing was almost to spite him. A lot of her actions, like, it felt like, lack of better words, it felt like a dead relationship kind of thing where...
It was.
If you're looking at it, it's like, oh, well, we're staying together for the kid.
Yeah.
Knowing damn well
she knew
I don't think that kid would have survived long with Mel.
She knew that Owen wanted her. That's why she alluded to was Abby going on these same trips with Owen.
Yeah.
Like, she knew it from the get-go. I don't understand why she was even in it. It's probably out of comfort or habit, where I have someone, so I might as well just keep them around type of thing, especially in that environment.
And that's the thing, we didn't really get any growth with Mel or any real knowledge of Mel. Like, she was just a medic, and she was with Owen. What were you saying?
We only got growth with Owen, to be honest. Like I would have loved to see those characters play a game with Abby and then got to like get to know those characters. I'm like, you had people like Nora, where she died and got beat to
Nora
death.
was next on my list.
And she was like loyal, even when they were questioning Abby when she helped her escape. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I would have loved to see like how they got to that point.
And I only had two things down for Nora. It's basically that she was present during Joel's death, and she says dumb shit during bad situations, because I don't know what they were doing with Nora, where it's like, do you hear his screams? Do you whatever? He died like a bitch or something like that.
I hear them every night. Yeah. Yeah, that little bitch got what he deserved.
I'm like, you have a gun pointed at you right now. Like, you were just lucky Ellie didn't just shoot you right there. I mean, what happened to you, I think, was far worse.
Yeah, it was. But I didn't... I'm glad you said that, because I thought she was going to, like, go a different route with that. Like, I thought she was going to say, like, I still hear the screams and go to, like, the sympathy route, like.
And the thing is, when you meet her again as Abby, you don't really get any news with her. She helps Abby, like, she helps her escape technically, but that's really about it.
I wanted to see, like, why they were so, like how did they become this tight-knit group?
Right.
So willing to lie to Isaac and his people about helping her escape. Going through all that, and you have to get, while you're over there dying from spores, you have to get beat with a damn pipe to even like give up anything.
And that's a weird thing that I had with the game is that the way violence was handled in this, like we can show Joel getting beat upside the head
But
with a golf club.
yeah, but we can't show Abby. I mean,
We can't we can't
beating
show
Joel with a
Ellie
pipe.
doing that with a pipe, and I don't know if they were worried about doing like a weird race thing because Ellie's white and Nora's, black, and they were afraid that, certain people would get, take that out of context and try and pull like a hate crime route on it or something. But it's like, oh, you're gonna make me hit a quick time event to see it happen, or
But
you're
you
gonna
don't
make me
see
do a
it.
quick time event to see me swing the pipe, but you're not gonna actually see the outcome of it. And the thing is, they show Ellie being very that affected her.
Yeah, I would have loved to like see it. Like even when she killed Mel and then found out from Owen that she was pregnant, and then she unzipped it and she was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like you over there protecting someone who's pregnant, and you just killed another person who was pregnant. I actually did like that part, how she was like shaking up from that.
See, I didn't like I get why she was shaken up by it, but at the exact same time, that to me felt like I said it during stream, that to me was like a quote unquote Oscar moment where it's only there to manipulate the player to feel an like I wasn't bothered that Mel died because I
I wasn't bothered she
had a
died.
connection to Mel. I was bothered because she was pregnant.
Oh, yeah, I
And
get what you're saying. I get
yeah,
it.
like that it's basically we had like very limited connection. So it's like the only way we could make us care about Mel
She
was
pregnant.
that yes. And even after playing as Abby, I still didn't care about Mel.
No, I
Again,
didn't.
the only person I cared about really was Owen.
I did want to see like I didn't care about the guy that got his face cut and then got his neck stabbed. I didn't
Scar
care
guy?
about. I don't.
Scar
Yeah, I
guy?
don't even know his name. Um,
Neither do I. I didn't bother looking him up because
um,
like I was they seemed like they were gonna try and build him up to at least be something.
I thought he was gonna be the crazy one.
Because like he's going to kill them during Joel, the post Joel murder, and
Mm-hmm.
then I think he's killed at the school, right? Yeah, he's killed at the school, and then you get he shows up for a very short time in Abby's part at the beginning if you choose to talk to him in the cafeteria,
Yeah, and
and
then you see
that's
him in
it.
a. No, that's not him in a body bag. That's the other guy.
No, that's Danny.
Yeah, that's Danny.
Danny killed by Owen. That's
Yeah,
literally the only thing I have down for him.
yeah. I'm like,
So like
okay.
Scar guy, I literally have present during Joel's death, and then dot dot dot. I got nothing else with that character.
Manny, I liked Manny for the little tiny bit that they showed. I feel like if we would have had time with him, he would have been a dope character.
I could see that. Like for the little bit we had, it felt like they tried to squeeze some stuff in. Like I'm assuming he was Abby's roommate
Yeah, he
at
was,
the
and he's
Coliseum.
always sleeping with people.
Yeah, that was essentially it's like Abby's roommate, present during Joel's death, bedded the weather girl, killed by Tommy.
Yeah, because you even find a little note
Mm-hmm.
when you go into that one place and he like
Oh,
snatched
his
it and
his
be like,
little
yo,
his sex shack.
yeah. So like he would have been a great character. Like you would have had him, you would have had Owen, you would have had Nora. I think no matter how much time he spent, I probably wouldn't have liked Mel, like period, because
Mhm.
she was pretty quote unquote the bitter baby mama. I don't think I would have liked her even if we got that time. But I think I would have liked Nora, Manny, and Owen. PS Vita girl, I
She has a name.
no, that's PS
Her
Vita
her
girl.
name is Whitney. The game
No.
doesn't even credit her as that because in the credits she's just credited as like portable gamer girl.
I
Uh,
don't understand what I forgot about her until you asked. That's why I was so lost. I was like, who
yeah.
is PS Vita? Like, girl, like I thought you were talking about some streamer or something.
No, like
I was like, who are you talking about?
she is just there for body count. Like
Yes, I
I
don't
don't even think she was there for Joel's death.
no, she
I
wasn't. She was there when you see her in I think the cafeteria.
yeah, so
Was
you
it the
could
cafeteria?
no.
No, no, it
She's
wasn't
when
the
you make it
cafeteria.
to the
When you go to the
you meet her three times. The one time when Ellie kills her,
yeah,
you meet her at
what the hospital?
it's not the hospital, it's the base where Isaac is at.
Yeah,
She's
at the
there
hospital.
because and then you meet her at the hospital later on.
Okay.
So like she's just kind of there. She's just there for body count. I've heard some people try and say like, oh, because she's playing Hotline Miami and that is a game about violence and revenge, that it's supposed to be a parallel to Naughty. No, 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 fuck that shit. No. No, no,
No,
no, no, no, no.
she
Like
was useless. They just needed
yeah.
somebody. I didn't understand it. She's always on the Vita, never paying attention to anything. And when you meet her as Abby, she don't. You got to like. It wasn't a cafeteria because you were like trying to say something to her a few times and she like didn't even notice you, and then you have to like wave, and then she's like, oh, and then she takes off her little headset,
Oh, then I missed that
and
segment.
then
I
you're
just
like,
remember her. I remember her after the part where Mel gets shot, and they have to
okay,
take her for medical when you're told about Danny.
mm-hmm.
I remember running to her at that facility. I remember running into her at the hospital, and I remember her being killed by Ellie. I don't remember
Yeah,
the.
because you talked to her with Abby, and I was
Mhm.
like, okay, they're trying to make it so that she doesn't pay attention. She's so invested in the world, and that's how Ellie snuck up on her and killed her. I'm like, oh my
I.
gosh.
You don't need that. She was wearing headphones, so you have an answer. Now, why
Yeah, I'm
you
like, that's
would,
stupid.
why in a hospital? Like, yeah, she was in the hospital when she was killed, right?
Yeah, she was just sitting there
Yeah.
with her back turned to some open water.
To some open water in a hospital that they know is not done being cleared yet.
Yeah,
Like, because that's a part you go through with Abby. You go through the uncleared sections of the hospital. So again, you're just dumb. Like, I could deal with it if she didn't have like headphones on or
yeah,
something
I'm
like
like,
that, because
you
that is
got
loud
headphones
music.
on. I'm like, a clicker could have came through, anything could
Yeah.
have came through, and you were just chilling with your head down.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
I don't
That was
see
dumb.
how I don't see how she lasted in the WLF to begin with.
I
Like
don't
I
see how
feel
she
like
lasted life.
like I feel like there might have been plans to expand her. If we get DLC that expands her, I'm gonna be kind of
No,
angry.
I'm not getting on no DLC.
But yeah, that's really all I have to say about Whitney slash Vita girl slash portable gamer girl.
No, her name is PS Vita Girl. Like that was dumb. But they should have just made this game about Abby and gave us those characters so we can
Mhm.
get that type of connection with them. Isaac, I don't. Who is Isaac? He's not
Isaac
even like the typical. I can't even put him in a typical spot.
Isaac was just the leader of the WLF, and the only he's just crazy leader. Like we
Yeah,
got to
like
end this at all cost things. He serves very little, even in Abby's story. He serves very little purpose in there other than showing that he's a, at all costs kind of person.
yeah. I don't know. Like I would have loved to see like how Isaac is the leader, or why
I mean,
he's so end it all type.
yeah, you don't get any build up with him. You don't know where he was before he currently is. I don't see how he came to run or created the WLF that basically overthrew the government that was there. I forget
Hmm.
what they go by in the safe zones. Outside of just the fact that, the WLF is just a very violent organization, unless that's
Yeah,
what they're trying to tie to.
because they did mention a few times how they just shoot on sight. Like,
Yeah. So I guess that's the most you can get is you can see why the WLF is so dangerous and why they're basically, when you think of like violent resistance, like if you were to think of like the IRA, he's just there to show, oh, this is why they are the way they are because this is who leads them. Unless you got something to add to Isaac, there's only two other characters I can think of for the WLF.
no, I think we covered like the main people.
So the only two I have, and to me, they were the two that at least the internet, at least most people seem to care about more than anyone else, and that was Alice and Bear.
The dogs.
Yes, because I know more people that were upset at Alice's death than any other character in this game.
I wasn't.
There was this whole thing about, oh, you don't have to kill the dogs. And then here's a quick time event that I know you saw it where I was playing it and I tested it to go, I wonder if I don't actually have to kill this dog and I just let it bite my throat out.
Hmm.
So that was a lie. But yeah, I just have them in there for just because
Yeah, I
to
didn't really
me it
care.
seemed yeah, to me it seemed like people cared far more about Alice and Bear's death than any other character in this entire game.
I didn't care. I would. It's the same thing for me. Like I would have needed more time
Yeah.
with Alice being there with you.
Yeah.
So
I
I
mean, they
was
could
like,
have done that. They built up dogs as a thing in it. They could have just had Alice as one of Abby's companions.
yeah, do like certain missions, movie scenes, regular walking around, slice of life moments. They could
Yeah,
have
more
had
than just
Alice
playing
there.
fetch.
Yeah, that wasn't even with Alice. That was with the other dog.
No, that was with Alice.
No, you go rub Alice, and then Mel takes her out, and then another dog comes up, and then
I was talking
bark.
about it. Well, Bear is that dog. I'm talking about Alice
Yeah.
at the aquarium.
Oh, I don't think I played fetch with her.
That's the one that you help get Yara over her fear of dogs.
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did. I remember now. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And those are the only characters, so you want to move on to the only other real faction in the game?
Well,
The Scars/Seraphites.
yes.
So I only have 3 down for that. I
I mean,
have,
it's only two that matter to me, but
well, you have Sarah, who is, where the Seraphites name comes from, and basically
Mhm.
Isaac either killing or issuing her death warrant is what basically causes the war between
The
the
island.
Scars and, yeah, the Scars and the Wolves. And then you have Yara and Lev.
Yeah,
Really, like, the only thing I had down for Yara was, like, she was one of the soldiers for the Scars
yeah. And then they
and
clipped
was
her
Lev's
wings,
sister. Oh, yeah, and she's Lev's sister, and she can do a lot with one arm. That's all I can say.
and I knew she was gonna die.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yeah. I was like, this is not gonna be a Yara and Lev and Abby type of story.
I was
I'm like,
surprised it lasted as long as she did.
yeah, I was like, she's gonna die. I thought she was gonna die like after she got her arm healed. Like,
I was thinking it was going to be you finally get back there, but you're not in time, and then she dies on the operating table kind of thing.
I thought she was gonna get healed and then get like killed like the next time you play with her.
I mean, to
Like
an extent, she kind of did.
no, like soon as you play with
Oh,
her,
okay.
stuff was gonna
Yeah.
hit the fan. Either Isaac people find out or something, and be like, "It's a scar," and they blah, 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 blah. But
And then the only other one is Lev, which
yeah,
really it's Yara's brother. I'm not gonna get into like gender politics shit with Lev.
I'll just say initially I didn't even I thought it was just I didn't get like the reason why they're being hunted at first when I was playing with them. I was like, okay, a boy cut his hair. Don't they do that normally? Until like later on, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. I get it. But I didn't really have an
See,
issue with it though.
and that was the
Actually,
thing. Like, I was really confused at first because I thought that they were trying to keep that aspect hidden. That it was a boy. Like, I guess that Lev was originally a girl from the very beginning because just the way the voice sounded and just the general like facial structure kind of thing.
hmm
It looked like a girl to me. So at first I thought that's what they were just alluding to, that oh, Abby just thought it was a boy, and then that's what they're going to lead into. And it's like, oh no, they actually are going down that route, and they don't do anything. I thought that again that was some stuff that at least with, unless there was a document I missed with the scars that would explain why that was such a big thing, because I know like Lev wanted to be a soldier like his,
hmm
or yeah, like his sister, and instead they chose for him to be a wife for one of the chiefs or something like that.
Yeah.
And they decided, yeah, Lev decided no, cuts their hair off, changes their name to Lev, which from the way I
What her name
understood
was
it,
Lily.
yeah, originally went by Lily, and they make it clear that there were conversations, at least with Yara, before all of this ever happened. And then it's like, cut their hair off and cause this whole thing. I don't, like I said, unless there was a document that says like that the scars don't believe in trans people or something like that, the cutting of the hair thing felt really weird to me because they have women who are soldiers.
hmm
So I'm sure there was more of a point that was there, and then that drags into a whole thing with Lev and Yara's mother getting killed. Lev has to kill his own mother because she's just so indoctrinated into their beliefs.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, when you were like sneaking up, and then the scars call Lev Lily.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's how I found out.
And I mean, I think they did kind of handle it pretty well because there's just this, okay, that's what you are. Okay, kind of, we're not going to really delve any deeper into that. Like, that's the closest thing to normalizing and accepting it you can get, is to just be, okay, fine.
Yeah, because I didn't get it at first, and I
Mhm.
mean, I was like, okay, like he cut his hair.
Yeah.
That's how I was seeing it at first. But I'm like, I know it's something there because I'm like, they can't just be hunting him for a haircut.
Right.
And then hearing the stuff like he was supposed to be married. At first, I'm still thinking because halfway because I was like playing and I was kind of
Yeah.
like trying to multitask. So I was just thinking, okay, he was supposed to marry. Even though I heard it, thought he was just gonna get a wife.
Right.
And then it wasn't until like the Lily thing, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm like, he was supposed to be the wife.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, I got you.
But I
But I actually
mean,
like Lev.
yeah, I like Lev as a character. That was one of the other like side characters that I think they spent enough time with
Yes.
to
Okay,
really
let's see.
like
This
build
is
up
how
a
you
thing.
develop it.
Right. You spent enough time with it. You even had Lev trying to help Abby deal with her fear of heights and all that.
Yeah. Like
So,
moments like that made me like start connecting. Like even like Lev not understanding basic jokes
yes.
or saying wrong wrong words at wrong times. Like I don't even mean that.
Mhm. Well, it's like they did that for in like the segment that got me is when you have to look for a mask for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes right before you leave, it's like find it or else, I'm just stuck
Yeah,
here. Or,
he said I want to die here. Like,
yeah, I was like, so yeah, I wanted to find that mask and I wanted to find it quick. Like I cared about Lev. I liked
yeah,
Lev.
me too. Me
And
too.
Lev was basically like that's when I got to that moment I was like, "Oh crap, Lev is this game's Ellie." Like you
Yeah,
have Abby who is like
Abby
the
became
the
Joel.
cold, yeah, the cold protecting kind of character, and Lev which is the more I mean, I think Lev was a little bit more easygoing. Like Ellie was pretty easygoing, Lev was pretty easygoing, but was far less reserved for the most part than Ellie was. At least when it came to like certain topics for it. Like I would like to see what they do with Lev in the future.
Yeah, I liked Lev. I was like, Lev was a great character.
Hmm. And the only other like faction that's in it, and they don't really matter, are the Rattlers or the
Actually,
Rattlesnakes.
yeah, the Rattler. I actually was mad about that, like because I'm like, it would have been amazing to have them in the game
Yeah.
instead of like the ending, because they were like, I don't know. I'm like, somebody had to be like them, killing people or letting them get infected, and then like chaining them up and like talking stuff to them, like,
Hmm.
see what happens. I told you not to do this, and like like little bounty hunters
I thought they
and
were gonna do
slave
more
traders.
with them. It's just because really it just boiled down to like they were slavers in California,
Yeah,
and like I couldn't name any of them. I don't even know if they actually have names or
I
not.
don't know if they have names either, but I would have loved to see them. Like, if not Ellie, if we would have spent the game with Abby and we would have had to like go through that section and have like a portion with them,
Hmm.
it would have been
They
nice.
well because they brought up that Ellie, or I'm sorry, Abby tried to escape, and that's what led to their capture, which led to her and Lev getting put on the post. To me, that
Yes,
failed escape should have been something you played.
yes,
And, that's again whenever I brought up like really the Rattlers only exist in order to put Ellie and Abby on like an even playing ground in
yeah.
like a fair
Because
fight.
she needs to be like starved and dehydrated and look normal size.
Yeah. And that's the only reason that I saw that they existed in it. Like you get that one little scene where Abby or Ellie gets bitten and the guy tells her the information because he thinks she's gonna die soon anyway.
Hmm.
And that's
That
really
was
the
like that part. I was like, okay, finally y'all like actually use her immunity for some importance since it's just been a non-topic pretty much.
mm-hmm.
It was like, I'm not scared to get bit, so I'm gonna use this to like get you killed.
Mm-hmm. And that's really all I got for characters.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna use that for part three because if you get once you get to the end of the game, like
Mm-hmm.
once all the credits roll and it shows like the boat, like when you start the game, the boat's drifting in the water. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of the two boats that Ellie
Mm-hmm.
and Abby get on at the end of the game, and then at the end, one is like on shore. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you actually look at that picture, I think it's
Yeah.
Catalina or something. That's the place where the Fireflies told her to go.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they made it there.
And that's where so do you want to go on to like predictions for the next game, or do you want to go into how we think they should have done things for this?
Nah,
Or
let's just go into prediction.
Okay, so this is basically my prediction for it, that Abby rejoins with the Fireflies, and then her and Lev eventually find Ellie. Like,
Mhm.
they're gonna meet another doctor. They're gonna try again. They're like, well, we know someone that's immune. And then it basically turns into a complete remake of the first one where you have older Ellie, and probably Abby and Lev, or just Lev and Ellie, going through trying to bring Ellie to the doctor so Ellie can finally sacrifice herself.
Yeah, I
And
agree with that.
the thing is because they're really big on subversions, I would be willing to bet money, especially if Druckmann's writing it, that Ellie's going to die on the table and they're still not going to be able to make a cure.
Yeah, that seems about
And
right.
this is my only other that's my predictions. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, your lead. They're doing a crash course until like bringing Ellie and Abby together again, but
Mm-hmm.
this time not on opposite ends, but on the same thing. I wish
Mm-hmm.
they played it up more, like with the whole splintering of a relationship between Joel and Ellie when she found out,
Mm-hmm.
and then they put that little thing at the end where they had the scene where Ellie was basically saying like we can still try to like mend this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to see like Ellie's confliction of her like when she's going out there to like get revenge on Abby, like her seeing stuff like Jesse dying or someone getting
Mm-hmm.
bit and it's like weighing on her more and more. Like, dude, I could have potentially stopped all this.
Well, and I mean that's the whole thing. Like, I know a lot of people. To me, the entire point of the story is about revenge, and you have that like old saying where it's like, if you seek revenge, dig two graves or something
Yeah.
like that. It's basically about how revenge takes everything from you. Both
Hmm.
sides essentially lost everything.
Yeah.
Abby at least still has Lev for it, but Ellie literally has nothing. Like, she's even
Not even.
missing fingers, so she can't
Yeah, I
even
was say
play the
even fingers.
guitar, which connects her to Joel.
Oh yeah,
So
and that was like her last thing.
she can't really go back to Jackson because of Tommy.
Yeah.
She can't really do anything. And this is where I didn't like that ending sequence. I liked the sequence for what it was. I think it should have shown up earlier or should have shown up at some point to build more conflict, because it just showing up at the end to me was not a good enough narrative reason for why Abby shouldn't have died. Like, if you want to know my honest opinion, both Abby and Ellie should have died at the end of this story.
I thought that was how it was gonna end.
I thought the whole point of why Ellie was doing what she was doing at the end was because she basically had her own form of like survivor's guilt and she wanted to die. When she got to the point that she threatened Lev and she did all these other things, I thought her whole point was that she wanted Abby to finally kill her so that it can completely be over. I don't feel that at the end now. I think they kind of threw in that forgiveness thing. How it would have ended for me is she kills Abby in it, then maybe gets the forgiveness thing, the forgiveness scene, maybe starts feeling remorseful for all she did. And either when she's leaving the house or maybe cut to years later and she's still at the house, Lev shows up when no one else is around and Lev kills Ellie. And that basically ends your cycle of violence because there's no witnesses, there's no people. And
Yeah,
that
because
completely,
Lev was gonna kill her. Like if she left Lev there, that was
yeah,
bound to happen. I
yeah.
thought, yeah, I thought they were both gonna die as well. I
Hmm.
didn't get it like when Abby beat the hell out of Ellie.
Hmm.
I was like, I don't understand in this reason why Abby didn't finish them off. It was nothing there for me for Abby to walk away just because Lev said Abby.
I can see
I'm
why
like,
she didn't kill Dina because of Lev's thing, and I guess maybe they were trying to allude that Lev didn't want her to kill anyone else.
yeah,
But
but I didn't get
she
that
could have done that leading up to that point.
because Lev is the one. You're outside the theater, and she said, "Lev, are you still with me?"
Yeah.
Yes. You know you're going there to kill them.
And that's where I think like the disjointed part of this comes in. Like, to me, this game felt like it was a sequel to a game we never actually got. And it's
You said
what
it
you
perfect.
kind of brought up. Like, here's the thing: Abby's story is just so disjointed from, or so separate from Ellie's
At
story
least,
that you could have completely separated it, told,
yeah,
even done Lev's portion of it, and that could have been what led them to eventually going to Jackson because they don't have the WLF anymore. They go to Jackson, you have all this time to build up with these characters, and then you kill Joel at the very end of it. And then that could tie into Last of Us 3, where it just kind of kicks off with you watching that scene all over again. And now you're like, you have real conflict as Ellie well, I played as Ellie before. I really like Joel, but now I really understand why Abby did what they did. I might not want as a player to actually get revenge against
Yeah.
Abby. And even more so, like them trying to, link these stories together with it. I would have tied it more into the boss fights, like, because
Hmm.
when you're fighting Ellie as Abby, it's essentially broken up into four sections. You have the part where you're in the seating area of the theater and you have to reach the stage.
Yeah.
Then you have the part where Ellie has the handgun, then
Hmm.
Ellie with the shotgun and bombs, and then bow and
And
bombs.
the ball, yeah.
I think how it should have worked is you start out with Abby, and when you reach the theater, it should force shift to where you're controlling Ellie. And then when you
Uh,
get to the next portion where I think they fall through the stage or something like that, I forget what happens, it
mhm.
switches back to Abby, and then it switches back to Ellie again. Because you're controlling both of them, you both have that drive to want to live, and you want to do that. I think it would just merge the gameplay in with their story a little bit more.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. That would have been dope.
Like, I don't, at no point do I really think this, I didn't enjoy this game, but I wouldn't call it bad. I would call it disappointing.
I
And,
didn't.
hmm,
I'm big on story, so that's where I
hmm,
knocked like the points. I gave it a 7, to be
hmm,
honest. This is a solid 7. I mean, my
hmm,
friend gave it a 6.5, so I say in between 6.5 7. That's why I gave it. I see what they tried to do. I think they just put too much ingredients in the gumbo,
hmm,
like stuff that was not needed, and then the stuff that was needed, they put very little of, if not any, and then tried to serve it to you and say it was the same thing.
hmm.
Like, because like that part about the whole Abby leaving. Like, if we would have played a game with Abby, showed her this heartless person, and then if we would have got the Owen effect, how Owen, we know,
Hmm.
like we seen him soften, it would have made sense by the time you're gonna kill Dina, and then Lev says Abby, and she's like, okay, you know
Hmm.
what? I didn't kill too much. Like, I'm gonna let you go. Like,
I
don't
I
show your
don't see
face again.
how I don't see how you didn't at least make sure Tommy was dead.
Yeah. So I'm
Like
like,
when Tommy
okay.
shows back up, I was legitimately surprised.
Yeah, I thought he was dead at first because she just shot him, and then I was
She
like, okay,
basically
she,
shot him through, I guess, like the cheek and through the eye
yeah.
or something like
I
that.
thought she had shot him in the head, so I'm like,
Same.
damn, she racked off Tommy and Joel.
Hmm.
But no, she didn't. And then like when we get to the end, I'm like, bro, your sole purpose was to get revenge for Joel.
Hmm.
You get beat up. You go get this farm that Dina wanted. Y'all play house, and then you're forced to see Tommy again. Like, because I mean, you were big on sending Tommy out there and wanting to get revenge. Tommy goes out there, he comes back handicapped. First thing you say is you're gonna get justice, and then you go
Hmm.
play house. So now
And
you like
it's a
have
decent amount of time that
yeah,
passes too.
like now you have PTSD. You got forced to see Tommy again. You don't sleep. That's why you are always about. So you like, I'm about to sneak out the house because I have to do this anyway. I
Hmm.
got to complete this circle.
And that's
Uh,
that's when I was actually saying, because when Dina tells her, it's like, I can't keep going this. It's like, I think she says don't come back or something like that. That's where I started leaning that this is supposed to be the last stand for Ellie. Like, she, at this point, it's more about, if I kill her and I succeed, then I succeed. If she kills me, then that's an equal thing for
yeah.
her.
So I was like, I didn't understand. Like, you get there, you
Hmm.
choking her out, and then you pull away. You don't have no reason to pull away.
Like, even if it was, she's in the process of doing it and Lev
Lev
snuck up
shoots her.
behind her and killed
Yeah.
her or
I thought that
stabbed
was
her or
gonna
something.
happen. I thought she
Same.
was gonna choke her out. She was gonna die, and
Hmm.
Lev was gonna shoot her or stab her, and then
Hmm.
Ellie was gonna die, and that's it.
Hmm.
Nobody's gonna come after him because Dina, you go back to a farm, and she literally cleared the thing. Why was the sheets folded
Yeah, that
on
surprised me that they
beds?
literally were able to clear that house.
You cleared the house for what? And
Yeah.
then left Ellie stuff. Like, you cleared. No, why are you doing all that? That'll
Hmm.
got you killed, and you have a baby.
Yeah.
So who came and wasted their time clearing the house?
Yeah.
That was dumb. But yeah, she should have died there. They both should have been dead there. The cycle of hate is gone because no one's looking for Lev. And then you could have had Lev show up at Catalina,
Hmm.
and then he's gonna be the one pushing the mission forward.
Mm-hmm. Like to me, that is when I talk about Hollywood endings, they said like, oh, it's about subverting things. No, this is the most game ending you can have because
Yeah,
it doesn't lock you into anything. You can still continue with these characters, you can still do this. No, the actual ending should have had them dying and it tells your completed story. That's
yeah,
what always annoyed me when people talked about like, oh, you're just upset that you didn't get the ending that you wanted and it subverted stuff. No, we got an ending that to me was just that
right.
was a by the numbers of producer style ending.
Yeah, like Naughty Dog has always been big on telling a complete story, beginning,
Yeah.
middle, and end. Like how they did Last of Us 1. That was a complete game. Like you didn't need a part two. You
Yeah.
could have done a part two, but you didn't need it because that story was done. And it was
And
originally not supposed to be a part two.
right. And where I kind of sat there and I give like criticism towards Druckmann, and that's because, Druckmann's like writer, director, all these other things for it. I think he has good ideas and good things, but I think he needs someone there over his shoulder to maybe go, no, that's stupid. Don't do that.
Yeah, well,
I,
if he actually listened,
yeah,
because we talk about Uncharted, but that was, I forgot her name, someone
right,
else's idea,
right,
someone else's character, someone else's work
right.
versus this.
Hmm.
This was like predominantly like Druckmann,
Yeah,
and you can tell.
yeah.
Feel like every
Like,
idea or everyone he sat with, he was like, "Oh yeah, okay, let's throw this in there." And you
and
got somebody raising their hand, like, but that doesn't make sense. And he just over there, "Ooh, you know what? Let's kill him right here."
and
Like
that's
what?
where I think it comes down to. I think he understood that people cared about these characters, but didn't understand why they cared about them.
Yeah.
And really that's it. Like I've got nothing else I can really say for this. Like I know you gave it a 7. For me, it was like a 3 out of 5. Like it's solid.
Damn. Oh
I
no, same
out of
thing.
5. Out of
Yeah,
5.
same thing. I thought you were gonna say
Um,
3 out of 10. I was like, damn,
no,
I
no,
think it's
no,
that bad.
no. It's like a solid 3 out of 5. Like
Yeah, that's same.
if if you want to play it, I think you'll get out of it exactly what you want out of it. If especially if you go in knowing what to expect already, then I don't think your opinions are going to change. Like I went in expecting to completely hate Abby, and I was surprised that it came out with that. But I think if somebody is just dead set on hating this game, finishing it is not going to change their opinion. And if they go in expecting it to be a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, it's going to be a 10 out of 10 masterpiece.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought I was gonna hate Abby too,
Mm-hmm.
and I even made jokes. I'm like, bro, now I gotta play with the Terminator and everything. But like when I actually played with her, I'm like, yo, I could have did a whole game with Abby just to get
To know
what
them,
I
get
got.
to
Yeah, like what I got from Ellie and Joel from the first game. I'm like, I would have loved to do that with this game. Have Joel die at the end.
hmm
Do some fantastic writing so you don't know it's Joel. Like, don't just like have
Oh, I
some
would.
type of thing. I would have figured it out because I'm like, that's the only reason. Unless she like never really talked in detail about what happened.
Oh, I would have, if I were writing it, I wouldn't keep that hidden. I would
You just
still
let
have
them know.
just, I would still have said that it was Joel, still have known it was Joel, know her entire driving factor is Joel. Because again, this story is so separate that you could have introduced Lev, you could have done all of these different things.
I get what you're saying.
And
I
then
already know
by
what
the
you're
very end, you get that opening segment with
saying.
her.
Yeah, okay.
And you, as the player, you basically get that same segment at the end of the first game where
Yeah,
you understand Abby, or yeah, you understand Abby's actions. You might not agree with them, but you understand why she's doing them.
yeah. I would have did
So,
like, you know what? I would have did like a little flashback too. While Joel is dying, or when she first got there and seen
and
Joel.
and again, make the player actually do it.
Yeah, I would
Like
have
I feel
made you
like they
do it.
were really trying to keep Abby's hands clean with a lot of stuff. Like a lot of the really bad stuff she does, you
It's
as the
cinematic.
player don't actually do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I would have made you do that, and then like I said, if you want to go that route, I would have did that Tommy scene
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the credits where you show him like beat up, and you
Mm-hmm.
telling Ellie like you promised, and then you
Mm-hmm.
like, and this will be the first time you seen Ellie
Yeah.
since part 1, and
Yes.
you like, oh shoot, I already know what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3, you can change it up. It can start off as revenge, and it can end up, going to the whole Firefly thing. But I'm like, that would have been a nice little segue to say, okay, this is done.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little tidbit for if we already planned on doing another game. And then bam, Last of Us 2.
Well, Last of Us 3 at that point,
Well,
technically,
yeah, it would
but
have been 3, but I'm saying you can wrap it up and there you go.
oh yeah,
You got
yeah,
a good experience.
yeah.
That
But
you can
you
play
know,
it over with cheats.
yeah. I mean, you know, in the end, that's really all I've got left to say about this game. Like I said my words for it. I said like my issues with it. I had a lot of issues with it. Not enough to say that this game is absolute trash garbage, you know, like a lot of people other do. You know, a lot of people online have done, as I said
I
at the beginning.
I think a lot of people OD. I think half the people didn't even play it.
Yeah, I could
They
see
were
that.
like, "It's trash. They did this and did that." And I get the part where they were saying like they were pushing different type of messages in the game
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. I mean, you do see certain things in there like that's like blatant. I'm like, okay, you didn't even
Mm-hmm.
like make it organic. You just like, here you go,
Yeah.
like look at it. But I'm like, take the time, play the game, and form it because most of them think Abby is just this evil trash character just off what you read, and some of the stuff wasn't even true. Versus playing and you like, I like Abby. Like my brother, he's like, he didn't play it. He like read, he went through a rabbit hole and went through like spoilers and stuff because
Mm-hmm.
we initially said that we weren't gonna read anything. We are just gonna play it, get our own opinion, and then if you want to go down a rabbit hole afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
fine by me. But he went through the rabbit hole and didn't play it, and that was like our biggest like. We didn't argue about it, but that was like our points. I was telling him like, you didn't even play the game, so how are you saying like it's a trash game? You didn't
Mm-hmm.
play it. All you did was read it or watch someone else play it. I was like, experience goes into gameplay rating as well.
Mm-hmm.
How you felt playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you can't give that because you watched someone play it
Right.
and you read some spoilers. But I think a lot of people who didn't play it like harshly dragged it down, and it wasn't even that bad.
Yeah.
It was a solid game, like a 7. I don't think it's game of the year, which I know is gonna win,
Oh
but
yeah. Yeah.
it was a solid game.
Yeah. But like I said, that's all I got to say. Do you have any other things?
Nope, nope, nope.
All right.
PS5 come out November 12th. Xbox come or the new Xbox console, the intercom comes out on November 10th,
Yep.
and yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Well, again, thanks to everybody for listening to this. Again, I'm your host, Snitches. You can find me on Twitter at SnitchesRR or on Twitch at Retro and Remastered. And my co-host, you can always find him on his sites. Where are they?
Bro, your stuff is always so simple. I feel like my stuff is a lot, but you can find me on all social medias under KWire Gaming, KWire Gaming, Facebook fan page, KWire Gaming, Twitch. You can find me under K_Ray06. And if you're looking for a new channel, it's also K-Ray TV.
All right. Thanks, everyone, again. Thank you for listening. Hope you have a good night.
Peace.